Hey folks, this is Kalani. Welcome to the TAZAVESH Mega Dungeon Guide. In this video, we're going to walk you through every boss and their abilities and the best way for dealing with them. Let's start with unlocking the Mega Dungeon. Thankfully, it's very quick, easy, and straightforward. All you have to do is head to Oribos to the Innkeeper. You should be able to pick up the quest Alley Cat of Oribos, talk to a few brokers, teleport through a few different zones, and you'll end up taking a ship across the stars to the ever-elusive Veiled Market. And that's it. No rep grind, no time gains, straight into the dungeon. Now the first boss you'll come across is Zophex the Sentinel. His main ability is interrogation. He picks a random target and starts chasing after them. While chasing a target, the boss deals a lot of damage directly in front of him, so stay away from those spinning blades. At the end of the interrogation, the boss stuns the target in a containment cell, and you have to DPS that cell down to free the target, otherwise the boss is going to kill them. He also uses armed security. The boss will throw his blades down and they'll spin around in the encounter area. Just stay away from them and you'll be fine. You'll also use impound contraband. This knocks your weapon out of your hands and silences you. You have to find your weapon and run on over to it to pick it up so you can start using your abilities again. And then his last ability is Rotary Body Armor. A shield slowly rotates around the boss, deflecting any hits from that direction, so just move around so you're not hitting the shield. The second boss is the Grand Menagerie. You start by fighting a devourer, Alcrux. He will periodically pull everyone in with Grip of Hunger and smash the ground, dealing damage to anyone within 20 yards. Run away when you get gripped in. Grand Consumption spawns a bunch of big AoE circles in the room. You need to dodge these, otherwise the boss will get healed. And his last ability is Gluttony. This is a debuff on a random player that deals damage over time, and it will be very important for the other abilities in this fight. When Gluttony expires, it jumps to the closest player, so try to keep this debuff on your DPS. When the Devourer dies, you'll have to fight a Killite, the Bastion Construct. He will cast Venting Protocol. This fills the room with anima orbs. If you touch an anima orb, you take damage and get a debuff that decreases your damage done by 5% for 1 minute, and it stacks, so you want to avoid them. The player with the Gluttony debuff can actually soak these orbs and get a damage buff, so whoever has Gluttony should try to catch as many orbs as they can before the debuff jumps to the next player. They will also cast Flagellation Protocol. You need to DPS the shield down and interrupt the cast, otherwise he's going to kill your tank. And his last ability is Purification Protocol. This is another big AoE, but it's on random players, so just spread them out so each AoE only hits one player. And then the last mini-boss in this encounter is Venza Goldfuse. She will use Chains of Domination on a random target that reduces their movement speed by 100%. You need to nuke these chains down to free your party member. And her main ability is Whirling Annihilation. She draws everyone towards her and deals heavy damage to anyone who gets too close, so just run away from this ability while avoiding all of those orbs still floating around. The third boss is Mailroom Mayhem. This boss will cast Money Order. This needs to be soaked and split between your entire group because it deals a lot of damage, so just stack up and spread the damage. They will also use Fan Mail. The boss whirls around, dealing damage to your entire party over 5 seconds, so your healer needs to be ready to keep everyone alive. You will also get lots of small purple swirlies all over the room. If you soak these swirlies, you take a bit of damage over time that stacks for each swirl you soak, but if you don't soak them, they leave behind a heavy hitting purple puddle, so it's always best to soak as many swirlies as you can and dispel the debuff if it gets too high. And then you also have unstable goods to deal with. These are basically bomb briefcases with a timer. If that timer expires, they explode, dealing a large amount of damage to your party. To get rid of these bombs, you have to pick them up and look for an open mail chute around the room. The open chute to the one with air flying by. You can use an extra action button to toss those bombs into the air chute to get rid of them. You can also toss them to other players if you're careful, but if you throw them on the floor by accident, they're also going to explode. Now, before we get into the next boss, there is a bit of a puzzle area you'll have to work through. To get to Myza's Oasis, you're going to need a password. To get that password, you'll need to do a bit of trading. The broker right outside of the entrance to the bar has a special item for sale. When you buy that item, it drops it on the floor and you can pick it up. You have to take this item to the broker trader that will be most interested in it. So weapons, go to the weapon vendor. Textiles, go to the textile vendor. Rare gems, go to the gem vendor. You get the idea. When you take the item to the proper vendor, they will give you another item to trade. You need to make 3 trades in total to earn the password to enter the Oasis. While the trades are happening, mobs will constantly spawn, so while one person handles the items, the other 4 need to kill all of the ads and keep the trades going smoothly. Inside the Oasis, you can find the fourth boss up on the stage. There are 5 instruments that you can use. There's a drum kit, a guitar, a sax, a trumpet, and a microphone. Each instrument works in a similar way. Throughout the fight, you will see notes appear on the floor, and you need to use your instrument to collect the notes. Each note will give you a stack of a very useful damage, healing, and haste buff to help you clear the boss encounter. This boss also happens in waves, so you start with a bunch of ants. They mostly don't do much, it's a lot of random damage, but the one you need to watch out for is the Oasis security. They deal a lot of damage to your tank, and they cast Menacing Shout, which will deal damage to everyone and interrupt spellcasting, so you should interrupt that when you can. When the boss comes down, they also cast Menacing Shout, so interrupt that as well. They use the same Security Slam ability that trucks your tanks, so tanks should use a cooldown and healers need to be on their toes. And they also use Crowd Control. They deflect all attacks and spells from the front for 5 seconds, and when it ends, they deal damage in a frontal cone and knock players back, so just stand behind the boss when he uses this ability. And then his last ability is Suppression Spark. Everyone will be marked with a small AoE and he'll pull everybody towards him. Just spread out and move away from the boss and don't splash each other. The 5th boss is Soazmi. This boss will throw out little portals with icons above them. If you step into a circle portal, you appear at the other circle portal. The same thing with the triangle and square portals. This is going to be very important for dodging the other main ability in this fight. The boss will create an expanding circle of energy. It starts small but eventually passes over the entire encounter space. If you get hit by this wave of energy, it deals a lot of damage over time, so ideally you want to avoid it. To do that, you'll need to make use of the portals. It starts off relatively easy. Look for a portal that is close to the spawn point for the circle, find the other portal with the same icon, and boom, teleport across the wave. But as the fight progresses, the boss starts splitting up the room. First it's split into 2, but towards the end of the fight it's split into 4. You can't pass through these walls and they create line of sight, so you have to find the area you need to portal to, then look for the other end of that portal, but you might have to go through triangle to get to circle to get to square to finally be safe. To add on top of those abilities, the boss also uses double technique, which needs to be interrupted twice to stop it, so your group needs to stay together in the same little quadrant to make sure that can get interrupted quickly. Moving on, the next boss is Hylbrande. The tank needs to face him away from your group due to shearing swings. The boss cleaves everything in front of him, dealing a lot of physical damage, so only the tank should get hit by that. He also uses Titanic Crash. This is a frontal ability that stuns anyone who gets hit, so be sure to avoid it. Random players will also get marked by a laser. This laser deals a lot of damage if you let it hit you, and it also leaves behind a puddle on the floor. Kite this laser to the edge of the room so you don't drop your puddles in the middle. And then his main big ability is Sanitizing Cycle. The boss hops to the middle of the room, becomes immune to damage, and starts covering the room in a nasty AoE. To stop this, one player has to run to the center console and use it. They will be shown a color-coded pattern. These colors dictate where you need to place the 4 colored orbs in the room, so if you're looking at the console, you have top left, right, and bottom left. Place the right colors in the right console sockets in the room, and you will interrupt the boss so you can go back to DPSing him. There will also be Vault Purifier ads to deal with. Kill them as quickly as you can and try to keep them away from the boss, because they apply a damage reduction to the boss, and obviously you want to kill the boss as quickly as possible. If ads are present during the coloured orb phase, they actually prevent you from interacting with consoles, so you'll have to kill them before you can finish the phase. The 7th boss is Timecap'n Hooktail. The most important thing in this fight is staying out of the water. If you go into the water, you will die. The ship offshore can fire an anchor shot at you, which chains you and starts dragging you into the water, so be sure to run against that chain and avoid getting dragged too far. There's also lots of swirls to avoid on this fight. Pretty much every swirl is going to be bad, so dodge them as best you can, and obviously don't stand in the fire patches. Lots of ads will come from the ship and swarm your group. They aren't too deadly on their own, but they do have a lot of health. Kite them as best you can, but the main way you're going to get rid of those ads is with the dragon's main ability. The dragon will use infinite breath on the tank, which you can see the area that the breath will hit because it's marked with a huge indicator. The breath is going to deal a lot of damage, and it will stun you if you get hit, but it also instantly kills any ads caught in it. So the best way to handle this is to tank the dragon decently far away from the water and the ship, and use the breath to hit as many ads as possible every time it's cast. The boss also uses Hook Swipe. It's just a typical dragon tail swipe, except you can get stuck on the dragon's tail if you get hit, which obviously isn't ideal. And then the boss will also cast double time, which increases the movement speed and attack speed of all of the ads, so you just have to be careful, kite them a bit more, and CC the ads if they get out of control. And then the last boss is Solia. In the first phase, the boss will use Hyperlight Spark. This deals damage to a random player and jumps between everyone in your party, so you just have to heal it up. Another ability to watch out for is Collapsing Star. This is a big orb that will explode after 25 seconds, killing your entire party. To avoid that, you need to soak the Collapsing Star 4 times to get rid of it, but each time you soak it, it deals party-wide damage over time, so you have to wait until the debuff has fallen off before someone soaks it again. The debuff lasts for 3 seconds, so just poke the star once every 3 seconds and you won't die. She also summons Assassin Ads. They don't really do much, just interrupt their shuriken blitz and nuke them down quickly. At 40% health, you go into phase 2 and the boss will pull several relics into the encounter space. Those are the little stars floating around. You need to keep an eye on these relics because they pretty much interact with every ability in this next phase. The boss will link themselves to the relics, reducing the damage they take by 99%. The only way to break this effect is to hit every relic with the Hyperlight Jolt ability. This jumps from player to player. You can see the arrows mark which way the jolt will travel, so you need to position yourself so the arrows, and therefore the jolt, pass through each of the relics. When every relic has been hit, the boss will be damageable again. These relics will also explode when the boss uses Hyperlight Nova. A big circle appears around each relic that deals a lot of damage, so just don't stand next to the relics if you aren't trying to break them with a Hyperlight Jolt. The boss also uses Energy Fragmentation. This causes each relic to fire a large number of projectiles in all directions, one after another, so again, don't stand too close and dodge all of the projectiles that get spammed throughout the room. You also still get Collapsing Stars in this phase, so deal with them as quickly as you can. And that's all you should need to clear through the TAZAVESH Mega Dungeon. If you have any questions about specific bosses or anything going on in the dungeon, please leave them in the comments below and I'll try help you out. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to everyone who's subscribed on Twitch. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching, folks. Good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.